I'm Chris. I'm 33. Taken, but I mean, the world is a beautiful place, and I'm no longer afraid to die.
I'm Anthony. I'm 35 years young. In the world is a beautiful place, and I'm no longer afraid to die as well.
I guess we just like changed our setups around recently because of obviously like flying and just like updating stuff. So these are like a work in progress actually. Like we had just had like a week of rehearsal and writing before this. So yeah, Anthony got a Helix floor and then I got a quad Cortex. But yeah, it feels a little crazy to be more like space age because I'm used to just having a 5152.
I was going to say, you guys are just kind of feeling that out for the first time.
Yeah, like I was using some Helix stuff last year, but like I don't know. It's a little crazy to be like, oh, I need to download the firmware update for my pedal. Like, you know?
Yeah, when we got this, it was like 2 hours of updating and just going from a Marshall and a bunch of effects to an incredibly streamlined thing. It's definitely been a little bit of a learning curve, but ease of use is incredible. So this is, almost all of my effect. Like this is almost all of my effects except for anything that makes noise. The super shifter is first, like is the first thing in the chain. That's what my guitar goes into, and then DL4 runs into the tensor.
And your tensor's kind of hidden up there using a switchboard.
Yeah, I have the 4-button multi-switch, which is, I would not be able to use this pedal without it.
Right.
I bought the pedal without it and realized it was impossible to use. Like, it's so cool. And like, I think all of their pedals are like that. Like, there's just so much to offer, but impossible.
It's in a small footprint too.
Exactly.
So you wind up
and like
fat-footing
the tiny switches scare me, like just by putting my foot on there, like
Sure.
if I break them off, it's over. So yeah, the DL4 goes into the tensor. The last thing in my chain before it goes into the effects loop is the DD8, which Chris and I both do to do this.
That's what they're for. I have a modded DD3 for that exact reason.
I was using an awful looking DD3 without a spring in it so I can do it. And then
Classic move.
yeah, and then Chris told me that they came out with the DD8 and that feature was in it.
You just gotta step on it.
Yeah, and it's because the DD3 you had to step on and then step off.
Right.
It was only latching.
That's the only reason why I never used to do that stuff live. It's just, that's too much for me. I can't.
Yeah, not anymore though.
Yeah, not even. Yeah, now I overuse it, but like making up for years of not. But
and then yeah, just the amps in here, are basically just the Friedman stuff that they have, and it sounds so close to my Marshall. I couldn't tell the difference. And then as far as like the other question, like I think that for writing, this kept me in check. With just like we were just writing, and it kept me in check where I wasn't thinking about the effect I was going to use. I was thinking about the part more than anything else, which I think I used pedals like, as a creative tool, but it would be like, that would be the first thought is what pedal, like where now, like it's just kind of like limiting what I have in front of me at this time, even though there's infinite amount of stuff in here, what's in front of me at the time.
Okay. So you don't get sucked down a hole of what should this tone be. You can actually focus on what you are creating.
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing I despise about modeler stuff is like the option paralysis, and it's like, are you gonna like write a song, or are you just gonna like tweak the mids on this amp 500 times or something,
Chris, can you walk us through you've got a few more things going on here. So
Yeah,
can you walk us through your
yeah.
team?
I have a little bit more real estate because of the smaller stuff. But so yeah, okay. I go into a Strobostop tuner.
Great, Peterson's great.
Yes, the Mini, and then it goes into an HX Stomp, which just has Basically, I'm just using one button to switch through like a couple different tunings.
Right.
Like the polyphonic tuner on it, so like I can have like so I can like switch into baritone tuning or half step down like instantly, because in some songs I do have to go into baritone tuning like.
Yeah. So you
For
guys
one
can travel
part.
with fewer guitars too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for the like.
Yeah.
When we set this up, we set one setting with just half step down, so I don't have to do a guitar switch at all. It's incredible.
Yeah, and then yeah, so now I can just have two guitars, and it's like
Right.
totally chill. And I don't have like I actually don't like switching guitars live because the feel is all different, and then the strings are like a different like thickness or like tension. It's too much for me. But okay, so then yeah, the HX stomp is just pretty much doing tuning stuff, and then into Bigsby pedal. Then into the harmonist.
Love that.
Let's see, and then it's into the quad cortex, and everything's routed with that. for the
Some
end.
loops for your like your DL4
Yeah.
and your tensor.
Yeah, so like I'll have like let's see, four different like gain sounds, pretty much in here. So like just clean stuff. Normal gain, and then one that's a little crazier because I always have to do like a channel 3 on a 5150 anyways.
Sure.
So and then that same channel but with a octaver.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean there's like a couple songs I have to have a low octave blended in. So you know I can yeah, I just have those on just single foot switches, and then there's like if I need like a light drive for something, you know, it just like slightly boosts it.
Sure.
What else? Just a phaser just all the way up. And then what else is here? Just, okay, I replaced an MXR reverb with just like a reverb in here. And then, all right, then I have an effects loop for the timeline and the DL4 because there's a couple settings I use on them, but they're always together.
Sure.
So I can just turn those on and off. So then, let's see, yeah, and then, yeah, a loop with an looper. So I have like a expression pedal for that. So let's see. So I can have like a song transition. Let's see, is that? So I can have a loop going, but then decay it down and then come in.
It's good
with
for
a
song
part.
transitions and things like that too.
Yeah, because I used to have to bend over and change it, and I really don't like having to change anything like that. I want like the playing to be tight live. I don't need to be doing too much stuff. Yeah, and then obviously the DD8.
Sure.
And then that all like basically all that stuff routes in here. And then I have a 1/4 inch out to a solid state power amp.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have an XLR out with a
That's a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 700. Cool.
just because I wanted more like headroom for low end and stuff.
Sure.
And yeah, and then XLR goes out with a IR.
Sure. Would you guys say that you have, 2 or 3 desert island pedals? And it's kind of
Yeah, I mean, no, that's fair. So for me, the timeline, because when I bought it, the Strymon timeline, because when I bought it, I made some swell setting. And I don't remember how I made it, anything. it just happened, and like I've used it on tons of records for other bands because I produce a lot of other records when we're not on tour. But yeah, it's like the Strymon Timeline, and probably honestly now the Bigsby pedal, the Game Changer Bigsby, because I could never play. I can't move my right hand. Like I need to have it in a position for like palm mutes and stuff. Like doing
Get
that.
more tuning stability out of a stop
Yeah,
pedal
that
as well,
too.
so.
Yeah, because it trips me out. Like I'll hear it and I'll be like, I just can't keep playing the song if it's like out of tune. Like it trips me out. And now I have a Boss PS6 harmonist, which I use for just like just that sort of stuff, and it like has worked itself into like a lot of our stuff. I use it for transitions. Like even if okay. It's just like noise stuff, like in between stuff. Like if I have to do like, and like let that decay out into a clean part or transitioning into another section, it just like lets me kind of. Obviously I don't keep that down, but I mean like I'll just do like. Out of tune.
Snap
anyway.
right back into it.
Yeah, I'll just like snap into it. But
Anthony, same question. Do you have any that you miss, or Desert Island, things you can't live without?
I think the Tensor is the pedal that like I can't live without. You know, using it, I use it different than Chris uses it. I use it as like a second looper in my chain, but then I also use it for like a lot of transition stuff to go in between songs. I use it in songs, like the reverse in it is like just gorgeous and just. So I use that a lot, just to go transition into songs, and like I could just kind of make it sound like the world's ending.
yeah, he does all the cool stuff. Like it's sick.
So I use it like, I feed my loops into it as well, so I can manipulate the loops, but save the cleaner one, and have a manipulated one, and then just erase that, move on, but still have like, just still have a clean one, like in the song that we play, Invading, like there's a transition into the song, and I save that loop and I use it in the middle, like in the middle of the song too, because when Chris recorded that song, there was like a really cool reverse part that like I was just dead set on, like I wanted to like do what was on the record live.
I didn't think about having to ever reproduce that one.
And I was just like, more than anything, I thought it was just such a cool part that like tied like this big spacey section together. So like, that pedal helps me do that and still like kind of like keep like everything else kind of in check, because if I tried to just like make a really washed out loop, like I feel like I wouldn't be able to control like the volume of it. So I just have it really quiet in the song, but like when there's breaks, you can still hear it.
What are you guys playing guitar wise? Obviously, Chris, you've got an SG standard.
Yeah, just like a SG standard, but the neck is like really thin, like a 61.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a shredder guitar, but it doesn't look like.
You're not playing an Ibanez Wizard 3.
Exactly, yeah, which I like those necks, but like I can't do the like kind of super strat.
Sure.
Like, I don't know, it trips me out, but yeah, and then I also have a Telecaster that I'm using as a backup, but ideally I just keep it to this.
Sure.
But like, yeah.
And Anthony, I don't even recognize your machine here. So.
This is God City Instruments.
It's a machine.
Deconstructivist. The guitarist Converge makes them. Kirk. It's it's almost like a Les Paul neck, just a little bit thinner towards the back. It is very simple. I really like the fact that like there's a kill switch, and then there's just up and down for pickups, like either one or two. Mm-hmm. And then my other guitar that I have with me is the J Mascis Jazzmaster, which is probably my favorite guitar I own.
I think that's the only Jazzmaster that we've ever seen and worked on that we didn't hate. So that's my opinion.
It doesn't sound like a Jazzmaster. It's a little hotter. And I agree. I removed all the switching because I don't need it. I put gaff tape over the holes. It looks awful.
You have a Tune-O-Matic bridge?
I have a Tune-O-Matic bridge, which I love. The neck feels like a Les Paul. I think that's probably my favorite like production like thing that Fender's made. Like it doesn't matter that it's a Squire. I think it's just like the most comfortable guitar I own.